Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Tim Weigel, New York State IPM program grape and hops IPM specialist, and also team leader with the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. This week we're back inside the studio at Clairol. It's raining pretty good outside the last couple days, which means harvest is upon us. And the one thing that I always think of when harvest comes, because working with pests and that, growers are typically this time of year gearing up for harvest, thinking less about pests. But I think every year you hear me say this, I think this is a great time to think about pests and record keeping. And that makes me think about digital ag. We have said a lot about digital ag. These days with the Efficient Vineyard Project, we're looking at using NDVI scans, yield monitoring, bricks monitoring, soils, and just there's no end to the amount of information that you can collect. Kind of take a step back and look at some other forms of digital ag. We have just plain old record keeping. If you go on to the Lake Erie website at LERGP.com, you'll see that you can go back and we have a comparison of rainfall over the past 33 years. So you can look at what's happening today as far as seasonal rainfall and have it compared to an average of the last 33 years. You can go in and get historical weather records. We've been collecting bloom date since 1965. So we have over 50 years of bloom dates that we can look at the average, and veraison dates. In 1979, we started collecting bud break. So we can see over time how we're doing. You know, has climate change changed when our bud break and bloom dates are, or whatever has caused changes, and we can see that we are getting earlier and earlier every year. So how did that happen? We started keeping records years and years and years ago. So what I'm saying is start collecting records. You start today, maybe in 5 years you'll start to see a trend, maybe in 10. And even if you're only going to be in business for the next 3 years, 5 years, starting now will give somebody else a baseline to continue that record keeping for. Another form of digital ag is Track Grape. Track Grape is an Excel-based software developed by Juliet Carroll of the New York State IPM program, which allows you to keep not only pesticide records, but fertilization records, harvest records, just information about your farm or vineyard operation, and you keep that. And so you have that information year after year after year, so you can compare it. The Network for Environment and Weather Applications, which you've heard me talk about a lot, or a number of times during the podcast, is another form of digital ag. Not only does NUA collect all this weather information and turn it into the weather and pest models that we talk about and we can access on a daily basis, it also stores that information. So we have that historical information from the day that weather equipment was set up in the field. We can go back and look at that. And so again, we can compare years and see how this year compares to other years, and whether we're close to average, it's different, and that. So, you know, my point is, go out, look in your vineyards, grab pest information, see how it looks this year. You can go back and check weather records, your scouting records, things like that, and see if there was problems, maybe why those problems occurred. And you can also go back and look at years with similar weather patterns to see if you had the same problems or if this year stands out. So if you have any questions, please contact me. If you have any comments, if you have suggestions for future podcasts, please leave them in the comment section below.